Four-handed, stacks deep on this table, everybody sitting on plenty of ammunition. Mood's been aggressive tonight. Peter starts the action. Peter looks down at pocket sevens in the cutoff and fires it in for 6,000. A clean, straightforward open. Jack peers down at king-queen on the button and 3-bets it to 16,000. There it is. Pressure right back on Peter. Wasp looks down in the big blind and 4-bets to 55,000 with queen-jack. 4-betting 55,000 from the blind with queen-jack? Not in any textbook. If I'm Wasp, I'm 4-betting. No blockers to aces or kings. Ahead of sevens but crushed by ace-king or kings. What would you do here? He paid it off. Set mining now, hoping to flop big. Jack goes deep into the tank, about 20 seconds and counting, weighing whether king-queen's still good against 2 calls. 3 players are tangled in a bloated pre-flop pot, stacks under real pressure, and nobody's backing down. Jack calls the extra 39,000. No hesitation. Stanley looks down at 9-6 and folds quickly. We go to the flop. King, ace, blank. A big pot already. 3 players to this flop. Jack in position. Peter stuck in the middle. Wasp leads out for 60,000 into the middle. What a bet. Peter folds, giving up on his pocket pair. Jack goes deep into the tank, about 30 seconds and counting, weighing this bet against everything from Wasp. Just Jack and Wasp left, battling over a big pot on a dry rainbow flop. Jack calls the 60,000, sticking right around. And we see a turn, the 7 of clubs, a total brick for Wasp's gut shot. A flush draw is live. Wasp goes deep into the tank, about 50 seconds and counting. If I'm Jack, my draw missed. Only a bluff is left. Two-tone turn, a flush draw in play, and the money keeps piling into the middle. Queen high, a 4-out gut shot. Ice in Wasp's veins, selling a story of aces and kings. Think about his range for a second. Wasp blocks the Broadway, 2-pair hands, but a bare pocket 7s or 10s still calls. What would you do here? The spot to play hero, and he blinked. If I'm Jack, my king's only second pair, good only against a bluff. His story says aces, kings, or a set. I block ace-king, and this 4-better's wide enough to look up. What would you do here? Wasp drags in a 288,000 pot. I did not see that coming. 3 barrels of air, and Jack paid for believing it, if I'm honest. Sometimes, the scariest hand at the table is the one holding nothing. 5 players are still in this pot. Stacks deep and the table restless after a quiet stretch. Keating fires the first raise, and every eye snaps to him. Keating looks down at 5-3 and raises to 20,000 from the button. Bold, leading with that holding, no hesitation in the bet. Peter, in the small blind, looks down at Jack-10 and calls. Live enough to flop something against Keating's aggression. Jack calls with 8-4 from the big blind, and Texas Mike comes along with 6-4. Wasp gives it up quickly and folds his hand. We go to the flop. Rainbow, no flush draws. Jack's on bottom pair of 4s, 8 kicker. Peter checks, Jack checks behind him, and then Texas Mike fires 35,000 into the middle. There it is, the first real test of this flop. Keating calls the 35,000. If I'm Peter, raising folds out exactly what I want calling. 2 pair like 6-7 or 7-4, even a set of 6s or 4s. Only 8-5 beats me, making a higher straight, so I flat and keep the price soft. Peter gives it up and folds. Jack calls the 35,000 stays in, and we see a turn, the king of diamonds, just about the scariest card out there, board now 2-toned with a flush draw alive. Jack checks, and Texas Mike checks right behind him. If I'm Keating, this king only helps my story. It hands the field top pair and 2 pair to pay me, so I bet big instead of playing safe. If I'm Jack, I only lose if that 8-5 already got there. Everything else pays me off. Jack lets his 4s go and folds. Texas Mike calls the 100,000 still in this fight. The river brings the queen of clubs. For the 2 hands still alive, it's effectively a brick, changing nothing. Texas Mike checks the river. Every call from Mike says, a real hand, not a bluff catcher, and Keating's flop flat, then a turn bomb, tells its own story. Huge. This is a number that can end someone's session. Texas Mike tanks for nearly 90 seconds. 2 pair beats every bluff in Keating's range and loses to the hands this board completes, the exact razor's edge Mike is balancing on right now. Keating's sizing is polarized. A number this big usually means a monster or nothing, and Mike sits there with real showdown value, caught in between. This has been the longest pause of the night, and rightly so. A stack-defining decision with 2 pair caught between value and a bluff. Wow, what a laydown. If I'm Texas Mike, my 2 pair only beats a bluff. A 390,000 pot gets pushed to Keating's way. The lesson, the scariest card is the one your opponent doesn't fear. 4 players are battling it out here, and the stacks run deep on both sides of the table. It's been an active session, plenty of chips already changing hands, and Keating is the one about to open the action. Keating looks down at 9-8 and raises to 10,000 from the hijack. Peter, in the cutoff with ace-5 of hearts, calls right behind him. Jack peers down at 7-5 of clubs on the button and calls the 10,000. He's getting about 50%, pot-sized, and with position, a cheap flop beats folding here. Santosh, king-deuce from under the gun, calls 2, 4 to the flop. We go to the flop, 3 spades and Santosh's kings jump ahead of Peter's ace-high. Santosh checks, Keating checks, and Peter checks it right back. Jack checks it too. The flop goes for free. We go to the turn, the 10 of hearts, no 4th spade, and it slips Keating a sneaky gut shot to the jack. Santosh checks the turn over to Keating, who doesn't wait. He fires 50,000 into the middle, more than what's already out there. What a bet, and now it's on Santosh. Santosh calls the 50,000, top pair on a 3-spade board. Peter folds, Jack folds. The river brings the 6 of clubs. No spade, no straight card. Keating's gut shot draw is dead. Brick. Keating fires 225,000 into the pot. If I'm Santosh, I'm repping the flushes and straights this board allows, hoping the story holds. Santosh thinks it over and calls. King-deuce, top pair, no spade, beat by every flush and straight, but he trusts its air, and pays it off anyway. The interesting part is the read. If I'm Santosh, Keating's overbet holds no spade, no jack, the exact cards his story needs. I beat a busted 9-8, I lose to a flush that was always there or a better king like king-jack. What a sicko play if he's bluffing. That's the read holding up under real pressure, and it pays off huge. Keating's overbet gets snapped off cold, and Santosh collects a 598,000 pot. That's a hero call for the ages. When a bet doesn't fit the story, trust your read over your fear. 4-handed pot stacks deep on both sides, and the table's been quiet for a few hands. Ace is up first, and he comes in raising. Ace with 4s in the hijack raises to 6,000. Wasp flats the 6,000 from the cutoff with 9-7 offsuit. Speculative, positional, a hand built to flop something big rather than face a 3-bet cold. From the big blind, Santosh looks down at king-queen and rips it back to 38,000, snapping the pot up and putting ace on the spot. Wow. Ace calls the 32,000, tucking 4s in the hole, a cheap set hunt with a mountain of chips behind him, calling only to flop a monster or let it go. If I'm Peter, miss it, and those same hands leave my 4s dead. Set or give up. What would you do here? Peter folds. Jack folds too, mucking 9-6 offsuit. Here comes the flop, the 4 hits, and AC flops a hidden set on a dry board. Santosh leads out for 48,000 from the big blind, a confident bet into this ace-high rainbow flop. Bold move. That size from the big blind says Santosh still likes his hand, and the pot has grown past 80,000. Ace calls the 48,000, about a 36% price on a half-pot bet, his hidden set happy to continue. That takes us to the turn. The jack of diamonds fills Santosh's gut shot, vaulting him ahead of Ace's set. Santosh checks it over. The river falls the jack of spades, pairing the board. Ace rivers 4s full of jacks, flipping the hand back his way. Santosh fires 175,000 into the river, a massive, confident bet on a freshly paired board. Bold move indeed. Santosh is repping the straight hard on a paired board, and Ace is the only one left to answer, chip still alive. Ace raises to 400,000, not just a call, but a full value raise, slamming it in hard. If I'm Santosh, the river jack turns my set into 4s full of jacks. Santosh reps a straight or 2 pair on this paired board. I'm way ahead of king-queen or 9-8, but quad jacks or 10s full crushes me. Call or charge the max. Santosh calls 225,000, defending his Broadway, straight facing 400,000, that could be quads or a bigger boat, about 69% to keep playing. If I'm Santosh, against a busted draw, I'm still good. What would you do here? Ace scoops the whole 980,000, a set he quietly slow played all the way from flop to a rivered boat. The lesson, deep stacks turn tiny pairs into monsters waiting to happen. 2 big stacks facing off. Table lively after some early aggression. Keating's about to make the first move here. Keating looks down at king-queen of diamonds in the hijack and raises. Clean sizing, Texas Mike peers at ace-10 of hearts from the small blind and fires back. A 3-bet to 100,000. Huge re-raise. Keating calls it off. He's not folding king-queen suited, flatting to keep the pressure manageable in position. We go to the flop. Texas Mike flops top pair aces, and Keating's king high picks up a flush draw. Texas Mike bets 60,000 on the flop, applying pressure right away on the ace-high board. Keating calls the 60,000. 9 outs to the flush give him about 21.5%, an easy price here. We go to the turn. Keating needed a diamond and the jack bricks. Mike's top pair keeps his 10 kicker. Texas Mike fires again on the turn. 150,000, piling more pressure onto the board. What a bet. Keating calls on the turn. 12 outs now, flush plus gut shot to the wheel, and about 31% makes this call clear. If I'm Keating, Mike's repping AJ for 2 pair which beats me, I beat a busted flush draw. Calling keeps Mike's whole range in. The river comes down, the diamond never shows, the biggest blank on the planet. The flush never got there, his ace is still good, clean value, no hesitation. Everything hinges on this call. If I'm Keating, the diamond bricked, aces with a 10 kicker are clean value. I get paid by a worse ace or Keating's busted flush, but a set of jacks beats me. I bet and let him decide. Mike's fired 3 streets on an ace-high board, a range loaded with top pair or better, testing Keating's resolve. The tank stretches on. Keating's still weighing a pair that only really beats the hands Mike could be repping as a bluff. Minutes tick by. Keating's second pair against Mike's 3 barrels is turning into the hardest kind of fold to find. Keating's deep in the tank, his blockers to the mist. Flush the only real leverage he's got in this spot. At about 34%, second pair still doesn't beat Mike's value range. If I'm Keating, this king pairs me, but only second pair against 3 barrels. I lose to ace queen or a set of deuces, I beat a busted diamond draw. The disciplined red says, lay it down. The fold seals it, a 639,000 pot gets pushed Texas Mike's way. Keating's discipline is the story. He refused to pay off a hand he never had beat. Sometimes the bravest play at the table is simply letting go. 3 players are left in this hand, stacked still deep with the whole table itching to get action going. Santosh kicks things off up front, throwing in the first raise of the night. Santosh raises to 48,000 under the gun, holding queen jack, and Keating calls the 48,000 from the hijack with queen-queen. Instead of blasting a 3-bet with the pair, Keating just flats in position, keeping Santosh's dominated range alive in the pot. If I'm Martin, queen-queen facing an early raise is the 3rd best hand in the game. Most solvers would 3-bet it here. I only fear aces or kings. Would you 3-bet for value or flat and stay hidden? Martin folds his 10-4 from the big blind, and the action moves on. And off to the flop, the jack hits, rainbow board. Santosh flops top pair, Keating's queens are now an overpair. Santosh checks it over to Keating. Keating doesn't wait. He fires 55,000 into the middle, well over half the pot. No hesitation there, straight into the lead. Santosh calls the 55,000, sticking with his top pair. He's getting about 35% here on a half pot size, enough to stay ahead of plenty of what Keating could be holding. The turn comes down. The 3 pairs the board. Both hands become 2 pair now, Keating with queens and 3s, Santosh with jacks and 3s. Santosh checks again. Keating fires 150,000 into the pot, a big step up from the flop, well over half the pot again. Second barrel in a row, and he's not slowing down. Santosh calls the 150,000. Sticking with his 2 pair, he's getting about 41% here at 2/3 pot. With a hand this strong, he's not going anywhere. The river completes the board with a blank 5. No help for anyone. Both hands frozen in place. Santosh checks the river, staying passive. Keating bets 334,000. If I'm Keating, that's value only a made jack calls, laying Santosh about 39%. Santosh moves all in. How did he do that? Santosh's 2 streets of calls scream a jack he just won't fold. Fire big or protect smaller. What's your move? If I'm Santosh, this feels like the top of my hand, but Keating's price tells a different tale. His range is aces, kings, queens, or river jack, all ahead of mine. The hands that let me win are a busted king, queen bluff, or a worse pair like 6s. Keating wins a $1.2 million pot. He's been hiding his strength since that very first raise, and Santosh just never saw it coming. He wrote it all the way down. A slow played hand only wins if you're ready for the return fire. 3-handed, stacks are deep, and it's been a quiet table so far. Texas Mike leads the action here, the first to make a move this hand. Texas. Mike looks down at ace-king and raises to 10,000, opening the pot. Mike's raise sets a tight range, and with players still to act, position becomes the deciding factor in this pot. Santosh looks down at pocket jacks on the button and 3-bets to 50,000. Big raise back at him. The pressure is back on Santosh, and this pot is getting big fast. Santosh calls the extra 150,000. This is where the money goes in for a lot of players. If I'm Jack, my jacks beat ace-king and ace-queen, but lose to queens, kings, and aces. Jamming folds out what I beat and gets called by what crushes me. What would you do here? Jack folds 7-deuce from under the gun, quickly. The flop rolls out two-tone, flush draw live. Santosh jumps to an overpair, Mike stuck on ace-high. Big lit, and Santosh has a decision to make on this two-tone board. Santosh calls the 130,000. We go to the turn. Board pairs. Santosh jumps to two-pair, Mike's down to twos, ace-kicker. Mike checks, declining to bet the turn. Santosh checks right back, the turn goes free. Here comes the river, a blank 5. The board stays quiet, nothing changes. Mike checks the river, staying passive again. Santosh puts in 150,000 on the river, the board paired, and he knows it. He fires, squeezing value from every ace that can't fold. This is the whole hand right here. The scare is a slow play deuce or 9. What would you do here? He's got big slick, but it's ace high, nothing more. With trips and two-pair live, 18% isn't enough, and Mike lets it go. Santosh drags in a 668,000 pot. Sometimes the best hand wins simply by making a tough opponent fold.